What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Whiskey Dixon. I'm Sugarbear,
Troy,
and we're reviewing Westward Single Malt American whiskey.
yay!
Who'd have
America.
thought? We're making single malts now.
That's
I
awesome.
Had no idea. This is actually the
I'm
most
excited.
award-winning single malt whiskey in the United States.
Yeah.
Comes to us from Westward Distilling in Portland, Oregon.
That's interesting. You know, I don't think of Oregon as the whiskey, like the first person to do a single malt whiskey.
I'll put it this way. Oregon and Washington have the highest liquor taxes of any state, so I'm shocked to see anyone trying to distill whiskey in either of these places. But, having said that, Oregon's known for having a really good beer. And essentially what this
100%.
is, you know, what is single malt whiskey if not beer that's been distilled? And what's cool is they use Sierra Nevada ale yeast to ferment their wort or their beer that they're going to make into this whiskey. So it's Sierra Nevada ale yeast, 2-row barley, and double pot distilled, so same way they do it in Scotland. Just run it through 2 stills. And that's matured in a new American charred oak barrel. So just like bourbon, but instead of corn whiskey, they're putting malt whiskey into it. And shout out to Gian Trinidad, manager of the, I forget, Northern California marketing for Westward for the glass and the shirt and a couple bottles. Pretty cool. Yeah, this is not Scotch. When you smell this, it's malt whiskey, but the idea with this is they wanted to make America its own sort of style of single malt. So the first thing I think when I smell this, the lumber department at Home Depot. Just standing at that end of Home Depot.
It smells. I get a heavy apple note to it. Like
It's sweet. No, there's more sweetness, but the wood here is very fresh.
Yeah.
Like just a pile of fresh
full of resin.
boards.
Maybe.
Yeah, like.
But I get like having a caramel apple pop in a tree house. In a tree
Okay,
house.
there you go. Okay, I like that.
Because it just smells
Caramel
like
apple pop in a
nostalgia.
tree house.
Like fuck.
Oh, comes in at a 90 proof, 45%. Wow. There's a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Like you would think, you know, American single malt, you wouldn't think that it's going to be, I don't know, I always associate American whiskeys with like kind of a youthful, sort of punchy harshness.
Right.
It does not have that.
Smooth.
Not only is it smooth, but this is deep and rich and complex.
I get quite a bit of rice spice in there.
Well, there's no rye, but
it's like that.
there's spice.
Spiciness you get.
I would say
from it.
oak spice. I would say like spicy wood.
Right.
I would also say smoky wood, charred oak.
Definitely.
I would also say a little hint of just butter, like creamy butter, working its way through.
Slides down the tongue.
Gives you a nice oily mouthfeel as well. There's fruitiness too.
Oh yeah, all kinds of dry fruits in there.
Dried apricot. It's kind of the first one that's come to mind for me.
I kind of get a little bit of, there's a sourness to it too, maybe a little bit of cranberry.
Very unique whiskey. Like, can you think of another whiskey that tastes like no Scotch tastes like this?
Especially for an American whiskey.
It's cool to see. I'm actually glad to see like really quality American single malts. Because if you think about it, we make more beer than any country, and what is beer if not single malt whiskey that just hasn't been distilled yet?
Right.
So that's what this is. They literally took a beer, they distilled it into whiskey, and
This kind of reminds me of Pyre's Gold. It has so many fruit notes to it.
yeah, no, it's
Not quite the yogurt creaminess.
that's an interesting comparison. I wouldn't have thought of Irish whiskey, but now that you say that, it has that mouthfeel and it has that buttery note.
So much of a fruity, just it takes over.
Fruity, spicy, oaky, very fresh oak, a lot of sawdust too. Like just having sawed through a board, having the sawdust everywhere, that smell of sawing wood.
Right.
Buttery, caramely.
So good.
That's delightful. Not a cheap bottle because, you know, first of all, it's from Oregon, so that's not going to help. And second, there's really not a huge market for American single malts. They're not cheap to produce. This comes in around $70 to $80 range. However,
Sure does taste damn good though.
I would say, yeah, the quality's there. And I feel like if they drop this down to 60, they'd be selling this all day. $60, this is better than a lot of even like Scotch whiskey.
Yeah.
80's a bit much, but that's them getting started. And
they're approaching a new market.
kind of a fledgling, yeah. Really, the idea of American single malts hasn't even really been around that long. Like that, yeah, we're far more known for producing bourbon, rye whiskey. So this is new territory for an American distillery. But I love the direction they're going in because they used a new char oak barrel like you would use with bourbon to make this. And so, to me, this hits that perfect mark between bourbon drinkers and single malt Scotch drinkers.
Right.
I feel like you could easily turn a bourbon drinker into a Scotch drinker with this, or turn a single malt Scotch drinker into a bourbon drinker with this.
Right.
Because it's kind of like the best of both worlds, I would say.
You know, I wonder if where that price point comes in. Like they're competing with Scotland for those charred oak barrels.
Not necessarily. I mean, okay, that is somewhat true. That I'm assuming a new charred oak barrel would be more expensive than like a first fill bourbon cask.
Right.
But I feel like because they're located in America, they would have an easier time getting bourbon casks.
Yeah, price-wise.
Than they do in Scotland and Ireland. I mean, because they got to ship them over there.
That's true.
But I think it's a flavor thing. I think purely they wanted to do this because they knew that the American market is bourbon. It's very bourbon dominated. So I wanted to make a single malt that bourbon drinkers could enjoy. And Troy is the bourbarian, we call it. He is the bourbon guy that we do these reviews with. As do I. I feel like we don't quite do bourbon justice on this show a lot, just because all my other tasters are pussies and they just won't even touch it. But this is that gateway drug, if you will.
This does combine, because it's 45%, but it's so goddamn smooth.
Oh, that's crazy. It's the.
Need a little bit for
the Scotch equivalent. Well, hold on. There's a surprise. You motherfucker.
You still got some too.
Well, yeah, I was gonna kill it. Anyway. Anyways, Westward Single Malt American whiskey as an exclusive from Gian. He happened to also give me a bottle of Westward's Single Malt Pinot Noir cask finish. And what's cool about this, as far as I know, we're the only people in California to have this right now. This is something they are only selling in Oregon right now. They made very small amounts of it. You'll notice the bottle's a bit different. These bottles aren't going to look like this anymore. This is going to look like this shape, but with like a blue label. That's the new labeling for this. They're trying to get rid of these. I bought this just because this is the only version of the classic Westward that we could get a hold of. It's the only one around right now.
Nice.
But
it's a nice transition.
This is what it will look like from now on, just with a blue label. This is the Pinot finish. So
Pinot Noir.
Pretty cool. Thanks, Gian.
Very much, thank you.
Alright, so not only is this made in Oregon, but it's aged in Oregon Pinot Noir casks.
It's
just so cool.
100% Oregon.
100% Oregon. I really like that.
I like Oregon, you know what? Nothing wrong with that.
Oregon, you're alright.
It's even more of what the last one was.
It's what the last one had, but with way more cherry.
Yeah.
The way he described it, the first thing he said was cherry Coke. He's like, smell this? Think cherry Coke. And I was like, boom. Like, that's nail on the head. Fucking smart. Oh, and on the palate, a bit more sparkly and like lively than the standard.
Right.
Way fruitier, a lot. Whereas this has a lot of just oak, different types of like wood oak notes.
Right.
This is bringing the fruit.
It's dank. It's got some like deep plum notes.
Like a spoonful of plum preserves.
Right.
In your mouth.
It's overly sweet in that. No.
It has that buttery mouthfeel too, though, which I like. I love that.
If it's buttery,
they're keeping a consistent oily, buttery mouthfeel.
That's nothing but gold.
Yeah, once you've achieved that, you can put it in all kinds of different casks, and you'll still retain that quality, and so that's pretty cool. And it's cool to see they're experimenting. They're trying new casks. I've never had a Pinot whiskey.
Yeah.
I can't think of another whiskey I've had that's Pinot. It's always sherry or port.
Pinot in general.
I think I have, but yeah, I'm not much of a wine drinker. I don't think any of us on the show really are, to be honest. Yeah, sure thing, Mike. You're a sommelier of sorts.
Pay 10 grand. That's good.
Cherry Coke, like the nose. That's way too accurate.
What the problem is, it's so appealing, like cherry Coke in general.
I don't know what the price on this is going to be. I don't know what they're planning on selling it for. Again, they're not selling this in California yet. As long as it's under $100 when this comes out, though, I would recommend this. This is really good. This is definitely, I like it more than this one. This is great too. I would say that you can tell that they're doing things right, and you can tell that this is a quality operation, and they're trying to make as good a whiskey as they make in Scotland, and I think they are. Actually.
Both of these are something you could let sit on your tongue for like 10, 15, 30 minutes and just be satisfied.
This is as fine of a single malt as you'll find from any country. Like, this is really...
Yeah, just let it sit there and enjoy the flavor.
Top-notch, high-quality whiskey. Thanks again, Gian.
Seriously.
Really cool of you to give this to us.
New friend of mine.
As you can see, we got into the bottle a bit, but that's okay. That tends to be how these things go. Yeah, we drink. You know, we're not gonna beat around the bush. We drink a lot of whiskey.
We drink around the bush. You feel
oof, oof. But yeah, I think other than that, any final thoughts on this new wave of American single malts coming into the market?
Delicious.
Yeah. Round of applause.
Delicious.
Westward, you done good.
More please.
Can't wait to see. I know there's other releases too. I think I tried like a stout barrel finished version of this that they did with where they used, it was Deschutes Obsidian Stout barrels that they aged the whiskey in. It was so good. Yeah, no, and that's going to be in the market too. So I'm very excited for all these new Westward whiskeys coming out. We'll definitely review more of them.
Of course. I'd like to see a rye release because these taste so much like rye. Just because of the spice content.
It's the wood. I mean, I don't get a whole lot of rye. There's spice, but it's wood. It's very fresh, vibrant wood.
Yeah.
Almost piney even, or something like redwood or something. Very unique wood notes. A unique whiskey.
Yeah. All around.
I would say a fun experiment, but really I think this is actually going to be a brand that's going to blow up here in the States, which is totally fine. Yeah, no, you guys are doing it right, and we appreciate that, and thank you. And until, hold on, getting ahead of myself. Smash the like button, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Instagram, let us know what we're doing wrong or right, and we'll maybe try to correct it, or not.
However what.
Oh wait, the Pinot cask comes in at 45%. Okay, so they're both 90 proof.
As it should be.
Don't know the price point on this. This comes in around 70-80. Not cheap, but that's because it's a damn good whiskey. It's a fine quality whiskey.
Good beverage.
And they actually gave me a Glencairn with the name on it and everything, so that's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
And Sugarbear,
Troy.
we are Whiskey Dixon. Cheers. Keep on drinking.